The beautiful game is being stolen. It's being thieved. Yeah? Thieved. And they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Let's talk about it.
Call how it is.
Hello, hi. I'm back. Did you miss me? No? Okay, cool. Listen, I don't know if anyone's aware. In fact, I'm sure everyone's aware. Yeah, it's 2026. What does that mean? 4 years. It's World Cup year. The World Cup is being held in the United States of America, USA. This same USA.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people.
The United States just attacked Venezuela's capital. President Trump ordered this operation. There were multiple explosions.
This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying.
You shot her!
Well, US Homeland Security has defended the fatal shooting of the US citizen Alex Pretty as a means of self-defense.
Now, if I recall correctly, 2022, when Qatar was hosting the World Cup, there were questions, many a question about their politics.
You said you're looking forward to the German guests. Are you also looking forward to homosexual German guests, or do they have to stay home?
Their human rights record, the death of migrants.
FIFA's leadership is diverting attention away from human rights and FIFA's responsibility with respect to human rights.
Some questions, in fact, a lot of questions were rightful. Some others had some tinges of Islamophobia. Yeah, let's be honest. But those questions were loud, yeah, constant, unavoidable. They were almost in every conversation about that World Cup, even when we were talking about the football itself. Fast forward to 2026. Welcome. Happy New Year, Fishapa. Journalists are writing about what it means to be holding a World Cup in the USA. They are writing about it. So I don't want to at all say that people aren't talking about this, but it doesn't feel like enough. Like FIFA have always had, people have criticized FIFA. Scandal, scandal and controversy, bad politics. It's not new to FIFA. They're up there, chiefs, chairman, and people have separately criticized the Trump government. It doesn't feel like, to me, and I'm happy to be challenged, that there is enough discussion about what it means that America right now is about to host this World Cup, especially when you compare it to the noise that was coming pre-Qatar, pre-Russia. Neither do I think it's been explored as to why FIFA are taking their mask off. I mean, why this feels different? Why, like, what is the attitude change from FIFA? Why are they being more callous, more blatant, more careless, more unashamed about this partnership with the USA for this specific World Cup? Shout out Mexico and Canada. I'm not going to drag you into this. In the lead up to Qatar, it almost felt like the media felt it was it's unavoidable. You cannot mention a game without speaking about everything else that is to do with this World Cup. The mess and the things that are going on in the USA are almost limited to just being the USA. And we discuss them as the USA, but they're not being discussed in tandem. Like, we're having conversations about the World Cup and it's not coming up. In the lead up to Qatar, we were getting prime time TV debates. In fact, if we were doing like qualifiers, we were still talking about it. Pundits were talking about it on ITV, on BBC, on Sky Sports.
Well, like, just on the back of what Graham is saying there, the World Cup shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be here. It's been mentioned there with the people there about the corruption regarding FIFA. You've got a country, the way they treat migrant workers, gay people, just to dismiss human rights, flippantly that because of a football tournament. It's not right.
If you thought I was going to let Gary Neville get off the hook, I absolutely will not. I haven't forgotten Gary Neville, one of the biggest critics in the lead up to this World Cup about the Qatari regime, about their politics. Eventually then went on to take a paycheck from beIN Sports, Qatari-owned BE Sports, to cover the 2022 World Cup. Listen, to be fair to Gary, in the UK, when there's things to be spoken about politically, he's there, he's outside, he's making noise. But I'm very interested to see what he's going to say, if he does say anything about the US government and this World Cup taking place.
You've got a choice, I think, haven't you?
What, going or not going?
Well, my view always has been that you either highlight the issues and challenges in these countries and speak about them, or you basically don't say anything, you stay back home and don't go. And I've always said we should challenge them.
There's another option. You stay at home and highlight the abuses. You don't have to go and take the Qataris' money.
Will pundits be dedicating entire segments to Trump's immigration crackdown? Doesn't feel that way. Will the players be asked in post and pre-match conferences about ICE? It doesn't feel that way. So my question isn't really, why isn't anyone covering this? Why isn't anyone concerned? People are concerned. I think my issue is, it's very, very strange how much critique we had for Qatar and the regime, the autocracy that is in charge, and the fact that FIFA allowed a World Cup to take place in Qatar. Now we've moved to the big dog of the West, and it's not permeating. But what I want to discuss today is how, much like modern politics, FIFA's almost so confident in the product it has, the product being football, and I use the word product intentionally because that's the way Infantino treats it, that they almost don't care that this year their mask is slipped. It's like a diversion from what we were doing under Sepp Blatter, where there was almost some form of regret and attempt to at least conceal. Under Infantino, it's almost like, oh, what are you gonna do about it? Like, they're not saying it, but they're almost asking us, like, are you gonna boycott the World Cup? And before we even have a chance to reply, he's saying,
exactly.
This is FIFA finally saying the quiet part out loud. We will start with the USA and what is happening right now as it pertains to the World Cup in 2026. But then we'll zoom back and see why this might be the point of no return, especially with what is on the horizon. So, World Cup 2026, the 23rd edition, will be the first held in more than one country. In fact, it's not even two, three. Canada, Mexico, and the USA. This is the first, but it will not be the last time this happens. This is also going to happen in the 2030 World Cup, where hosting duties will be shared between Morocco, Spain, and Portugal. And that probably tells us something, right? It tells us something important, which is that it's becoming very difficult for any one nation to shoulder the full burden of hosting a World Cup. But this is the scale we're talking about when we talk about this World Cup. 16 cities across 3 countries. That's 11 in the USA, 3 in Mexico, 2 in Canada, 4 different time zones, which makes it the most geographically spread World Cup ever. Why did this bid win? You compare that to more recent tournaments. So Qatar 2022. Qatar is one of the smallest nations in the world, full stop. Qatar is smaller than Houston, in Texas, in the USA. The furthest stadiums were 30 miles apart. Vancouver to Miami is 2,700 miles. Russia, very big country, so you might want to make a comparison there. Russia upgraded their high-speed rail to connect fans between the hosting cities, and it was free. In 2026, the winner of UEFA Playoff A, so we're talking Italy, Northern Ireland, North Macedonia, or Bosnia and Herzegovina, will have to travel over 3,000 miles in the group stage alone. Toronto, LA, and Seattle. Forget about the team. The fan that wants to follow their country has to travel between those 3 cities. Why did this bid win? One of the best things about the World Cup has always been the atmosphere, as fans from all across the world rain down on random cities, take over, and basically turn the whole thing into a big festival, a football festival. I'm nervous we're not going to get that same, mind you, I'm not going, but you can always tell from social media, from the TV, there's an energy that you feel from this cross-contamination, cross-pollination of cultures, peoples, the fans, the interactions. And FIFA, yeah, they're probably going to do their fan zones across different cities, but it doesn't feel like the energy is going to be the same. But I mean, we can set aside, if that's possible, the price of actually going and following your team around 3 countries. Let's talk about the ticket prices. Ticket prices. We're in the USA. What do you think? Yeah? Basically the home of capitalism. If not the home, they do it best. And so naturally, FIFA, for the first time, is embracing dynamic pricing. We love that, don't we? Analysis from The Guardian has shown that tickets for the final shot up in price 9 times. 9 times the price. I don't think people understand. Qatar was getting cussed out for their World Cup tickets because they were more expensive than previous editions. The USA, and I know, listen, Mexico and Canada are there. The USA are mocking it. I'm directing it at them and FIFA. They're mocking it.
I'm European.
On top of that, FIFA has moved to control the resale of tickets via their own platform, their own operating system. And you'd think, oh, right, that's a good idea. This should stop people from being able to scalp. No, FIFA said we want to scalp ourselves. They're adding a 15% fee to both the buyer and the seller of tickets. They're gaining an extra 30% on resale tickets from tickets they've already gained the profit from. Why did this bid win? Like, are we, is this normal? They are profiting from scalping for their own tournament. Like, are we deep in it? The prices have already quadrupled in some cases. They said it's not enough. We need to scalp our own tickets that we are selling for more bread. One of the main things that FIFA will use to justify this is their main mission statement is to spread football all over the world and to take football to the deepest, darkest places so we can all celebrate and enjoy this gift of a sport. I think there's even a number, I'm doing this off head, but I believe they say that 90% of their revenue goes back into taking football around the world. Of course, hosting the tournaments, etc., etc., etc. Even if we've historically seen that the money reaches some strange places, some strange pockets, let's assume their noble intentions. How does it make sense that you are pricing out the people who are already fans of this sport, are willing to travel the globe to follow their teams, their national teams around the globe, that you are taking advantage or pricing out those people for your claim that you wish to spread this to others? What is your intention? To spread it to others to also make money off of those people, or to just spread the sport? If the intention is to spread the sport for you to make more money, to line your pockets, who does that serve? And why should we, the fans, wish you well? Why should we wish you to go and use the money that you're receiving to go and spread this to others to now scam them too? Scam. Scalp. It's a scam too.
Today I feel disabled.
Another pushback you often hear is that, and I kind of brought this up myself, it's becoming harder and harder for any one country to host the World Cup. Too expensive. My dissertation for my master's was actually on the short-term and long-term benefits of hosting a major or global sporting event. The reward is not that significant in most cases. And so you're probably thinking, well, who bid? Well, FIFA would have considered all of this. In fact, Morocco, who just hosted the World Cup, actually bid for this World Cup to host alone. A pretty solid bid. And I want you to guess why FIFA rejected them based on everything we've said. Guess what? One of the main reasons FIFA rejected them. FIFA said that Morocco was too high risk, specifically their transportation. So let me get this straight. Morocco, a relatively compact country, not the best transport system in the world, but sufficient, and flights between cities pretty cheap. I've been to Morocco for less than £50 from the UK, let alone intercity travel in Morocco. That was deemed too high risk. But a World Cup spread across 16 cities in 3 countries, spanning 2,700 miles in one of the geographically largest nations with one of the weakest public transport systems in the world, especially for a developed country. That one is not high risk. It's not a problem. Infantino, we can actually see you. Like, do you know that?
Today I feel Qatari.
It's almost like, it's not almost, it's exactly like the decision didn't really come down to infrastructure and really had everything to do with cash dollar. Where's the bread coming in from? So let's get to that cash dollar. Because we've been leaving a certain someone out of this conversation so far. And I think he would be dying to be involved. So let's involve him. Thing 1 and thing 2, Gianni Infantino and Donald Trump. One of the strangest relationships on planet Earth right now.
I have very strong feelings.
This relationship is something else entirely. Let me walk you through the timeline of their relationship. 2018, the first meeting, Trump hosts Infantino at the White House. Infantino gives Trump some yellow and red cards. He was trying to flirt, I don't know, but he used it as a joke to say, oh, you can show this to the press. Fun, cute, whatever. 2020, 2 years, these guys are now busy mates. At Davos, Infantino calls Trump my great friend. There didn't seem to be much public interaction in this period, so clearly they were having some late night phone calls. Busy mates, that's fine. Oh, great. Thank you.
Today I feel gay.
Later that same year, Trump invites Infantino to the Abraham Accords signing ceremony. The Abraham Accords are a set of agreements about relations to do with diplomacy, trade, security between Israel and Arab states. So, of course, naturally, it has to be there for this momentous occasion for Trump. What the president of FIFA is doing at Middle East peace negotiation, ask your actual cousin, because I don't have an answer for you.
Today I feel Arab.
2025, this one, Trump's inauguration. Sorry, his second inauguration. Congrats. Not there with other diplomats or whatever. On stage with the family, with the ex-presidents, with significant political figures. Infantino's there with his head shining, like standing on. He's there. Like, I don't think people understood how strange this was at the time. You are the president of FIFA, a neutral NGO who very much so in Qatar were reminding us that you have nothing to do with politics, and you are on stage at the inauguration of a president. Take out the USA. This is just, when has this happened before? This doesn't happen. And rightly so, because as the president of FIFA, you have FIFA where you're dealing with presidents and prime ministers. You need to be neutral. And you are at a president's inauguration. Every time I'm reminded of, I'm truly stumped, because how was he even allowed? It doesn't make any sense to me. May 2025, the Saudi meeting. So FIFA Congress is where the governing body of FIFA meets to discuss the future of the sport. Naturally, Infantino, the president, is due to speak. It's being held in Saudi Arabia. He doesn't show up. For 2 hours, FIFA officials, members of the governing body, are waiting for Infantino to show up.
Today I feel African.
I beg you, guess where he was. Guess where he was. He was in Saudi Arabia with Donald Trump. If you were unaware, Trump has really close ties with Saudi Arabia's crown prince. And so he invited his new busy mate to a link up with his Saudi boy. And they were chilling off in another part of Saudi Arabia whilst FIFA Congress is waiting for their president. He finally arrived 2 hours late. By that time, he started talking and people started walking out and protest. August 2025, Infantino gifts Trump a replica of the World Cup gold trophy. He says,
"This is for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course you can as well."
Why are you publicly backing any one political figure? I don't understand. If you think that one is soft, around the same time, Infantino campaigning on Instagram for Donald Trump. He's publicly campaigning for him to win the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't even need to talk about that one. November to December 2025, I'm sure we all know, it was the World Cup draw. This was probably when people actually started paying attention because this was actually like a skit. Clearly, nobody was giving Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize. So as we're all waiting for this World Cup draw to start, Infantino gets on stage and establishes a new FIFA Peace Prize. Okay. Everyone's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. We're going to start next year? No. Let's launch it right now at the World Cup draw. What this has to do with A and B, we don't know, but fair enough. Who's the recipient? Oh, it's just Donald J. Trump.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
I need to stress, this award did not exist, not even 5 weeks before the World Cup draw. First of all, a draw is not even a place for this. You would think it would be its own isolated ceremony, but no, Infantino knows what he's doing. I mean, nobody's tuning in to FIFA's Peace Prize ceremony live on YouTube. No, but he knew he had an audience, and he knew he wanted to make a political statement for his bezzy, for his bro, and so he gifts Donald Trump this prize for stopping wars, for spreading peace amongst all humanity. There were no other candidates. There was no nomination process. FIFA officials themselves, a lot of them did not even know. Fair Square, which is a human rights organization, filed a complaint with FIFA's ethics board, stating that it was a clear breach of FIFA's duty to remain politically neutral. Of course, it hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gone anywhere. But I almost feel like, as egregious and in our face and mask off and bait as this is, that's almost kind of my point, that like, I don't know that the complaint was ever going to do anything and is ever going to go anywhere, because he's got a track record. This relationship has been in the public for time. If FIFA's ethics board was serious, Infantino would be done for a long time ago. The fact that he's still here now is the reason why he was able to do the FIFA Peace Prize mess, because like he knows nobody's going to know who and what is going to say anything. When I'm bringing you the bread that I'm bringing you with this World Cup, have you seen how I've tripled the prices? Our pockets are healthy. Kashmir. This is the same FIFA that in Qatar 2022 was talking about, please leave your politics at the door when you're stepping into this country. They were telling people, Germany, they said if you bring your what were they going to do? Cover their mouths or something, or your rainbow laces or anything you plan. We will ship you. It said we'll punish you. You dare do something, because politics doesn't belong on the field. Yeah? Leave Qatar alone. They're bringing us serious money. Now the inverse is true for World Cup 2026. Trump is the greatest human being on earth. He's stopped war in the Middle East. He has stopped inequality. He has fed the hungry. They swear that politics and football don't mix until it is for their own benefit. As aforementioned, the scary part is just that under Infantino, they are not hiding it. They don't feel any shame, any embarrassment. They don't fear any punishment. They're not wearing long skirts, bro. They're they're showing their ankles. And of course, the worst part of all of this is the state that America is in 2026, 2000. I mean, listen, this is just under Trump's leadership, full stop. But the state that America is in right now is dire. Like, let's get even serious for a second. It's bad. If we start off with the things that relate to the World Cup specifically, Trump has banned 39 countries from traveling to the USA. That includes Haiti, Iran, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast, who are all participants in the World Cup. So unless you are part of the diaspora or you have already immigrated to the USA and you have US citizenship, you're not traveling in as an Ivorian, as a Haitian, as an Iranian, or if you're Senegalese, if you do not have US citizenship. Haiti qualified for the first time in 50 plus years. Most of the fans can't go. Luckily, there's a big Haitian population in the United States, but that's not right, especially when most of the rhetoric that is used to justify these travel bans has been racist. Plans to permanently pause all immigration from third world countries. The attacks on Chinese nationals, foreigners generally, talking about the things they eat.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
If you didn't know, there's a big Somali population in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, which is why there's been such an ICE crackdown on that state, which has led to the death of, well, multiple people in detention, but specifically these high-profile deaths in recent weeks. ICE hiring has increased 120%. They're advertising, we wouldn't know this because we're not in the USA, but they advertise for ICE recruitment during big sports games in the USA. UFC, NFL. Last summer, Andrew Giuliani, who is the leader of the White House task force for this World Cup, stated that he and Donald Trump will not be ruling out ICE raids at the World Cup. At the venue specifically, he was asked and he said he will not rule it out. So if you are traveling to the US as a foreign national, traveling to support your team, whatever team that may be, Andrew Giuliani and Donald Trump are not ruling out the chance that ICE might show up at your venue. And when you do not produce immediately a US passport, because naturally you're here for the World Cup, problems may arise until you can prove that you have the correct documentation, the right to be in the USA during the World Cup. Scary times. The hypocrisy from FIFA is genuinely outrageous. All the initiatives, the missions, the charity that FIFA is involved in, only to partner and endorse this US government publicly and be unashamed to do so in this year, 2026, with this World Cup on the way. It just spells disaster for the future. So then we've talked about this sham of a World Cup, the ticket prices, the infrastructure, the travel. We've spoken about this chewing-gum relationship between Trump and Infantino. So then why did this bid win? Why did FIFA want them to win? And why is Trump so engaged? Why is he front and center? Why is he the most involved he's ever been? Why is he so engaged with sport right now in this period, in this time? On the FIFA side, we've touched on it. It's pretty clear. There's bread involved. To be honest, FIFA are set to make billions more than they would have having accepted the bid from Morocco. It's really that simple. And so naturally, I keep saying naturally, the response is going to be, oh, well, fair play then. They've got to make money. Well, no, FIFA is, they state they are, they've got the status that they are, a non-profit organization. The priority for FIFA should be preserving the game, ensuring that this product that is not failing, is optimal, the fan experience is maintained, the entertainment value is maintained. If FIFA's priority is sell and spread this game to more countries to then make more money, you are not a non-profit. And you will have to do all those things at the detriment of the fans and the experience and the game itself. One of the big ways that FIFA are set to make way more money than ever before, being in the USA, the USA is the home of everything. The home of gambling. You will see people gamble like they've never gambled before. If you like looking at sports data from Opta and Stats Perform, and FBref have just been collapsed, and you're wondering where's all that information gone? Hello, World Cup. Hello, FIFA. Hello, the USA. One of the big reasons that all that data has been stripped away is because some of the major betting houses have gained exclusivity into this data. Number one, so that they can literally, as if players aren't commodities already, they are going to sell every single action. They're going to convert every single movement by a player on the pitch into a gamble, into a bet, but also for the purpose of asymmetric information. These gambling houses, they have all the information. They can predict what's going to happen in a game. And you now losing all these stats you can use to make an informed decision, it's a lot more likely that who wins? The betting houses. More money for them. FIFA's happy. They're happy. You suck. The other big gain for FIFA, Infantino specifically, is the fact that the biggest pressure that has come to FIFA all these years, the pressure that came under Sepp Blatter and all them man for the scandal that predated or preceded Infantino, was from the USA. But now, my boy's the president of that country, you know? Why am I speaking in first person as Infantino? Infantino's boy is the president of the USA. It's like if you're African or West African specifically. Maybe other people can relate to this. You go to a hall party, you're in the queue's taking long. You're thinking, oh, they're gonna give me one spoon of rice. I want more. As you get closer, that's That's your auntie. She's the one serving. All of a sudden, your nerves are gone. You know this is going to be a great time. You're going to enjoy because you know the person serving the food. That's exactly Infantino has never been to a whole party before. But that is his attitude. That is the big reason why FIFA have taken this mask off attitude. Why they no longer have shame. They're doing things in the open. The pressure is gone. They're making more bank. They can absolutely chillax. As for Trump, it's not really that hard to connect the dots of where I'm going. People are like, okay, but what does he gain? Why? You are the president of the USA. What power do you not have? What is off limits? Like, what are you doing this for? Ladies and gentlemen, it's sports washing. It's really simple. It's not that. It's sports washing. And people don't want to use sports washing as the name of this. They don't want to call it sports washing because sports washing is supposed to be reserved for countries in the Middle East and maybe Russia. No. This is sports washing. Good, not good. I was about to say good old. This is sports washing. The definition of sports washing is using sports to clean reputation, distract from criticism, or gain legitimacy. And it's the gain legitimacy point that people try to dispute. Like, it's the USA. They don't need any more legitimacy. They have to relate it to a Man City or a Newcastle or Live Golf and talk about how these states are using this to wash their image and to distract from the crimes that they're committing and to, get their foot in the door as a legitimate superpower. Please stop. Even the USA loves a bit of soft power. Specifically, the Donald Trump government could do with more legitimacy, could do with more fans, could do with more people that care less about the atrocities because they have put on a show, they have entertained you. It's not at all. Please don't think it's a coincidence that the USA is having this year that it's having, that things are so dire in the year of a World Cup. ICE detentions last year have risen 75% in the USA. Not a coincidence. More people have died in ICE detention than in the previous 4 years. Not an accident. Arrests of people with no criminal record at all. Up more than 2,000%. These things are not coincidental. Please don't be that. They are happening intentionally in this year because this is the perfect distraction. The World Cup in the US, they don't even really care about the World Cup or football like that. But they have to now. This is in their country. It's going to be on their TV screens. It's going to take up so much real estate in the news cycle. This is perfect. God forbid. But I would not be surprised to see the Trump administration do some nasty things, especially in the month or the 2 months surrounding the World Cup, because the world is going to be distracted. Think about Trump's connection with UFC. Think about his connection with the World Cup now. The fact that they have also the Olympics in 2028, that they advertise so heavily during sports games. None of this is coincidental. This is no different to Russia in 2018. It's no different to Qatar in 2022. It's not different to Saudi Arabia. Trump's boy, I'm sure they were trading giggles and laughter. Saudi Arabia is hosting the World Cup in 2024. Trump wasn't upset about not getting a Nobel Peace Prize for no reason. And it's again not a coincidence that his boy went out and created a fake award to give to him because he wants legitimacy. Did you see how quickly he picked up the medal? He didn't even have to wear it then. Infantino was saying, wear it in your... he grabbed it, he put it around his neck, holding the marker. He was so ready. He's desperate for the world to see him as he believes he is. So don't fall into this trap of thinking Trump and the USA don't need legitimacy. This exchange... You know what's funny? I wouldn't even say it's perfect for both parties. The USA are still getting shafted, especially when it comes to revenue. For FIFA, this is perfect, yeah? They're collecting majority of the dough, get to do whatever they want, pockets healthy, we have a good time, off we pop. This is a shorter term boost of legitimacy, of reputation, of image, of popularity.
So,
no, I'm saying
what now?
So the future, where are we going? What do we do now? We have all this information. What's next? And what can we do? Well, we have to say, the precedent has been set. FIFA and Infantino have a formula that they have seen has been successful out in the open that they can use forevermore. This is essentially proof of concept. And when FIFA make their bags and bags from this, bags is too small. When they make their billions and billions from this World Cup, who dare sit in the FIFA Congress anywhere and challenge the man that has made FIFA more successful than it has ever been before? Well, looking forward, we already have 2 World Cups on the slate and I've referenced them both. And I promise you, when I explain how it was decided, ooh, I mentioned that the World Cup 2030 has been hosted by 3 countries, Morocco, Portugal, Spain. I failed to mention there's another 3 countries in the mix. And for good reason. Yes, the World Cup 2030 is technically going to be hosted in 6 countries, 3 continents. However, it's only the opening matches that are being played outside of the 3 I've already mentioned. Opening matches will be played primarily in South America, Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. This has been coined as a centenary celebration. This is 100 years since the World Cup was hosted. The very first World Cup was hosted in Uruguay in 1930. So for 100 years, FIFA said they wanted to do something special. However, that's... I should put on a tinfoil hat because I don't believe that's the reason why these countries specifically were chosen. You see, in 2023, for the World Cup 2030, there were multiple bids, but there were 2 significant choices. The aforementioned Spain, Portugal, and Morocco bid, and a bid by 3 nations that just so happened to be Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. Just hold that right there, because we saw who won. Whoopsie. Spain, Portugal, Morocco, lovely. However, here's the thing that really turned the tables. The very next day, the World Cup 2030 was confirmed. FIFA announced they would only be taking bids for the 2034 World Cup from Asia and Oceania. And then they told everyone, you have 25 days to submit, go. Sorry, what? In case you weren't aware, World Cup bids sometimes take years, months at minimum, but sometimes years to put into place. Nobody was prepared to submit a World Cup bid for 2034. You have to put in full plans, transport, accommodation for athletes and for fans. Do you have the stadium? Do you have the infrastructure? Do you have the money? Are you going to partner with another country to form a bid? So much is to be done. And FIFA randomly announced the day after, not only that they're restricting it to Asia and Oceania, but that they have 25 days. This is not normal, never been done, random. Until you cast your mind back and say, who did I say was hosting the 2034 World Cup? Saudi Arabia. Connections with Saudi Arabia? Donald Trump. Now, I told you to hold on to something. I told you to hold on to that Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay bid. See, usually what happens is the countries that don't get their bid accepted end up moving to the next cycle, and they're usually one of the strongest people in the running to, host the next World Cup. For example, Morocco competed against the USA. The next World Cup they're hosting with Spain and Portugal. But in this case, FIFA knew. FIFA knew. They said, oh, we've got some big money on the table from who? Our great friends in Saudi Arabia. We can make bank if we head to that Saudi Arabia. If we think we can make some serious dollars out there. Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in sport. We see all the boxing fights that are out there. UFC, mentioned Live Golf already. Newcastle. FIFA said, you guys, we're going to give you one special game. You will do the opening matches at this World Cup, and then we'll never see you again. Okay, cheers, forget your bid. Off you pop. How do you get these 3 South American countries to not revolt after you randomly restrict them for bidding for the next World Cup after they're unsuccessful? How do you get them to vote for Saudi Arabia with no complaint? Let me just chuck you some few games, bro. Understand that teams are going to be traveling from South America to Europe and Africa in one World Cup. What is this? This is the pattern. This is the play for the future. Money, capitalism kills the fan. I can make a whole video about capitalism in football. But capitalism rules the world. But of course, now it's heavily seeping into football. And the fan experience, the game itself, is no longer the priority. Like I said, we've drawn a playbook with this USA World Cup. The future is now set. FIFA are going to follow the money. As it pertains to specifically the World Cup 2034, I don't even need to speak about the sports washing that goes on in that case. Suppression of any dissent. Small dissent, but you're gone. That's where we're going for the World Cup 2034. It's natural progression, in fact. Like I started this section, you have to ask, so like, what now? What are we? So what are we, the common man? What do we do? Some people genuinely suggest boycott, but I promise you, there's people who are gonna there's people who have turned off this video from the jump because they themselves are saying, yeah, but it's football, man. Like, allow it. Don't bring all of this into football like it's not already there. The average person doesn't want to hear any of this. Just let me. I don't care as long as my football is on the pitch. You know, this is my form of escape. Don't let it be. I don't need it to be tarnished. Even if it is tarnished, I don't want to hear it. Just let it be. But the thing is, the only revolt can come from fans, and so there has to be something major that happens that turns the tide with fans. We saw how fans got on the streets for the European Super League. There was obviously a big contributor to why people mobilized, and that was Gary Neville saying people need to get on the streets and mobilize. Like him and Jamie Carragher did that whole Sky Sports section. They were ready to activate then, yeah? There is two parts to this. There is the media and those people with the loud voices, but there's also the fans. And it has to be a symbiotic relationship. That's the only way we can get out of this cycle. But when I tell you these, man, I mentioned Gary Neville earlier, can't trust these, man. Because they'll say all the things they're going to say and then they're going to jump in bed with them when the bread is on the table. So the fans are going to look at people like this and say, okay, well, you collected the check, so let me just watch my football in peace. What am I complaining about? I must admit, I'm a bit of a cynic. I'm a pessimist. So this is honestly my way of talking about things that are frustrating me in football right now. The way I contribute is just talking. I research, I look it up, I'm like, hey, and then I talk about it. That's as much as I feel I can do. But like I don't actually believe that we can actually save this thing. So I yap. I've done what I can. It requires so much action from different places to stop things going on the trajectory they already are. Like I said, I feel hopeless. Many others do. Yeah, so that's people were probably waiting for me to come with some solution, some detailed 5-step program. I don't have anything. This to me is just where football is going. I leave it to others to come with the solutions because I don't really see anything realistic. Great, isn't it? Love it. Sorry. Let me know any of your thoughts, any extra contributions, any debate. If you disagree here and there, let me know in the comments. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I don't know when I'll see you again. Peace.